So I did the video on which watercolor pencil is best for you or could be best for you. And so then I started thinking about, well, since we did it with watercolor pencils, then why not do it with regular colored pencils? So I'm doing 5 different varieties, 5 different brands, not varieties. Crazy girl. Anyway, I started with the Crayola. I'm going to do them in price order when I explain them to you. I did the 50 count I tried to do them as close to a 48 count as I could, because that's what the 3 or 4 of the brands had. There's one brand that didn't have enough to do that, but anyway, so the Crayola, a 50 count of Crayola, I don't know if you can read that or not, is $6.97 at Walmart. And I also put the cheapest place I found it on the net for each brand. And I'm only using the little ones because I only have this 6-pack that's really all I needed, which was a freebie. Anyway, I used them as my, I still have that spray paint on my finger. I still can't get it off. If any of you know how to get it off, please tell me. It's only been a day, but still I thought I'd tell you so you didn't freak out about why my finger's still black. Anyway, back to our pencils. The next brand in least expensive, I guess I'm going to say, is probably the Artist Loft. They're a brand that comes from Michaels, and they come in that big multimedia box, and it's $41.99 before the coupon, but in that you have 126 pieces, and of that I think there's like 30 of these pencils, so that isn't a very expensive price to pay for colored pencils. So I'm going to give that next in our order. Then the next I'm going to say is the Koh-I-Noors, and they only come, these are the woodless colored pencils, and they only come in a set of 24, and I found them least expensive was on eBay for $12.95. Then the next most expensive would be this brand called Marco. They're from Japan, and the set is a Renoir. Renoir? Yeah. Anyway, the easiest way to get them from Japan is through eBay, and the 48 count of those is $36.08. And that included shipping. Oh, I have a little heart from the last project. Then the most expensive is the Prismacolor Premier. Not by much. 48 count was 37, that's not a 2, it's a 7, 37.97 from Dick Blick, and that did not count the shipping, and the shipping is $4.95. I should have probably put that on there. But so that is the pricing of everything. What I did already was I colored one flower. I'm going to move it over just a little bit more so you can definitely see this one. This is the Crayola color that I've already colored out for you, and what I found when I colored it was that the pigment in it is not very bright, but when I did the Artist Loft, the pigment was much lighter, much lighter. Then when I did the, sorry, I'm getting these kind of moved around a little bit. Then when I did the Marco Renoirs, I had to change the colors out a couple times because the first time I did it, the orange was too dark and you couldn't, and the shading just didn't show up like it did on this one. So this is the one I went with, and it's a very smooth, nice pigmented. I enjoyed using those. The Koh-I-Noors are very bright colors. They're more primary colors than anything else. I couldn't find a color that was darker red. It was just, you can see, these are just the primaries. So it made it more difficult to have it look, to make it, the reds more than the orange, because the orange and the red are very close in color. Then last is the Prismacolor, and that one was nice to work with, and the pigment was really strong in it. And the blues, you can see such a huge difference between the blues when they almost all, in color wise, I'll hold all the blue pencils together so you can see them. color-wise, the blue pencils, I thought, looked almost identical to each other. Let me see. I'll put them against a red background. I think you ought to be able to see them. There you can see the colors of them. And weirdly enough, the ones that were the darkest would be the Prismacolor, but it doesn't, it looks like it's the lightest of all the colors, but that is the Prismacolor. And then this is that one. That is this one. Then you get into this very, very light. That is from this colored pencil. And then that is this one. And then that is that one. So you can't tell, I don't think, from the color on the pencil, you know, what it looks like when you put it down. The blues really, I thought, showed that more than any other color. How light the pigment was on some and how dark it was on others. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would color another flower on each one and kind of talk through each brand. So we'll go first with the Crayola, and this time I thought I would color these roses that are you know, a little bit different, and I thought I would do more oranges and make it more of an orange and yellow based flower than I did with the other one where I did mostly red. And the other thing that I will tell you is when I'm doing this, I like to make sure I tell you this. If you're not familiar with my channel, I am really focused on ease of use. Sorry, I'm left-handed. It's hard to do this without covering it up with when you're left-handed. Anyway, I focus on ease of use because I'm trying to make sure that the crafter that has some physical limitations will still be able to find a product that will work well for them. And so when I do these, it's from the perspective of making sure that there's good pigment, but also that the pencil slides across the paper easily, and that you really feel comfortable using the pencil. I hope that sometimes when I do these, people don't kind of understand the perspective. So I just like to make sure that I explain it in case you aren't familiar with my channel and you're just here for the first time. And if you are, welcome. I'm glad to have you. I bought some of these sets. Some of them were, as I said, part of that Artist Loft set, and then one of them was a gift. One of them, the Marco Renoirs, I got because one of my viewers said I should look into them because they're really easy to use, and so that's one of the reasons I got those. And then my sister bought me the woodless Koh-I-Noors because she really liked those and thought I would like them too, which was nice. So then I'm going to kind of try to blend, hopefully you can see this, I'm trying to blend out the orange as I go. The problem with the Crayolas, I found when I did the first flowers, is that trying to blend them, they just really didn't want to do much. You definitely saw where the colors were, and you didn't see any change when I tried to blend out the other colors. And you have to push hard with the Crayolas. There's no getting around that with them because it's not really waxy pencil, so you do have to really push on the pencil to get it to give you a lot of color. And I mean, if you are just looking for a colored pencil that will give you a good range of colors. I think the Crayolas are great for the first time. If you're going to just color with them, I think they're fine. The problem, again, is if you have any kind of physical limitations, your hand's going to get really tired really fast. So that is the Crayola. So next we're going to do the Artist Loft. You can see right away with these that although I'm using the same orange as I used with the Crayolas, you can see that there's almost no pigment to these orange pencils. I was really disappointed in not only are they hard to draw or to get the pigment on the paper with because of the wax content, but also because it just seems like the pigment is just so bad in them. It's really hard to get any color at all in these, and I mean, you can really see there's not much color. The orange, and I was really pushing hard. I'm going to try and get a little bit more on there so we can hopefully get a little bit of color in there. And we'll use the yellow. I didn't, these don't blend very well either, and I did notice that I leave a big mark in the paper with these because I'm pressing so hard trying to get the pigment to come out at all. And trying to do this in a circle, which is how you're supposed to do colored pencils, it's almost impossible to get the pigment to come out in little circles. It just doesn't come out. Okay, that is the Artist Loft. Okay, right away, there is Crayola, there is Artist Loft. Almost identical color pencils, but that's the difference. Let's do then the Koh-I-Noors. Now these ones do have some really great pigment in them, and compared to the other two, they're so much easier to get the color to go onto the page with. They're just so much easier, and I also noticed that the color is just so much brighter than with the other ones. But compared to the other two that we're going to be doing, there is a huge difference when it comes to having hand fatigue. I really thought when my sister got me these, I really thought these were really nice, and then when I colored just like one part of one page, and my hand was so sore from doing it. But I don't seem to have the same kind of problem when I'm using the other two that we're going to be talking about. This one is easier to do the little circles with, which is nice. Okay, and then the blending. I don't know if I talked about, oh, I did tell you a little bit about blending with the what are they called? The ones that Artist Loft, these ones. They actually blended pretty well once you looked at them. I did notice with these when I played with them before that it's almost impossible to blend the colors because they're so vibrant. They just don't seem to blend together at all. They just lay in the paper and you just don't get any blending, or very little blending. And I'll show you all these up close when I'm done so that you can see for yourself about the actual blending and how each rose looks in comparison to the others. and I am pushing pretty hard on it now because I'm trying to kind of burnish and get those colors to blend, and they don't really seem to want to do much in the way of blending, but that is the Koh-I-Noors in that. So then we're going to do the Renoirs. I guess we'll do this one over here. And this is the Prismacolor. I just want to make sure that you know that this is not the one it goes with. It should be down here. I guess I could do those partial roses. Maybe I'll do those partial roses just to make sure that I stay with the same family of pencils. That way you will know for sure which pencils are which, because they're all grouped together. And these pencils are really, really nice and waxy, and I don't think, I mean, for the money, I think that they're not that expensive considering you get them all the way from Japan. I don't think they're that really expensive compared to some pencils, and I think that they really have nice, to me, they glide across the paper really easily, and I like a pencil that does that. That's when I look at art supplies, that's almost the most important thing to me, is how easy it is to use in my hand, and how hard I have to push, or how fatigued my hand gets. That's what really makes a big difference for me when I'm doing anything with colored pencils. Blending wise, they don't seem to want to blend much, but to be honest, the paper I'm using is just the back of some old cardstock that I wanted to just play with, and so I stamped all these images on, and I just thought that I would use it because I'd already stamped out those images, so why not do it? And I think I'm just going to do these right here. The Prismacolors are very, very waxy, and they have a nice feel to them. I think that they are a little bit thicker around than the Renoirs, you know, like thicker around in my hand. And one thing I don't remember if I said was that Koh-I-Noors are all pigment, so there's no wood at all, so you really have a lot of bang for your buck when you're buying those. You're getting all pigment and no filler, so that's something to think about. I like the smoothness and the blendability of these. They seem to want to blend better than the other ones. I'm not sure if that's from the wax or what, but they do seem to have nice blending on them, and you don't have to push very hard to get them to get the pigment to go good on the paper. That's something else that's nice. Do those. I'll make sure I link the watercolor pencil video to this one too, so in case you are interested in finding out about if the watercolor pencils, which brands of watercolor pencil might work better for you. I really hope these videos help. If you're new to my channel, the one thing that I just started the channel in last October, and when I started it, the reason I started it was because I couldn't find anybody on YouTube who would help me find the right products for me. And so that was the reason, the main reason I started the channel, was just to find which products, somebody who, from the perspective of someone with some limitations, that I could tell people the things that I needed to know. And I've bought so many repeat products because I didn't have anybody there to show me, or tell me the things that I needed to know. And so that is why I started the channel, and it's one of the reasons I do these videos, is because I want to make sure that people are able to find products that will work for them with any kind of limitations. So that is the Prismacolor, and we'll go over all of them. Okay, here is our Koh-I-Noor. It's nice, vibrant colors. This is the Prismacolor Premier, also nice, vibrant color. Of the two, this one is much waxier and easier to color with. The Renoir, which is over here, also very easy to color with, very waxy, nice to use. The Crayola, really color-wise, it performed pretty well. It isn't as waxy. It is harder to apply. Then we have the Artist Loft, and what can we say? That there's just no hope for them as far as color goes. And it could be the easiest one to use, but when you have color that's that poor, there's just no hope for them with their color. So I hope this gave you some ideas about what brand might interest you in colored pencil. I hope you'll give this a thumbs up and subscribe, and please let me know if there's any other products that you'd like me to do a Let's Talk about, and I'd be glad to do it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.